We arrived in the southeast region of Pará, right at the beginning of April 1999, invited by the Landless Movement to create the memorial. We drove between thousands of fallen Brazil nut trees, a graveyard of screaming devastation, fenced by a silence of wise fear. We stopped in the dust of that curve of the S, stage of the bloodbath, the 19 wooden crosses planted on the night of April 17, 1996, so fragile and truthful, silenced us. We cried, not one bird, not one breath of wind. Raimundo, camp leader, explained, we need to break the silence to achieve justice, but we need to sensitize the country and the world to take care of the Amazon. I saw nothing, but I heard everything, Dona Rita, resident of the curve, recalled. I spent 3 hours under a mattress. The machine guns perforated the kitchen and the bedrooms. When I emerged, I saw a road of flip-flops, blood, and human remains. They burnt the identity cards on the road, removed the bodies of the women and children, and confiscated the videos. The priest transformed the improvised drugstore into a museum. A local artist painted the truth. Workers shot in the back. A hidden grave of women and children still not discovered. We went to have lunch in the March 26 camp. 5 days after the nighttime occupation, a frenetic movement of building and meetings. They welcomed us with love and curiosity. In a shelter of straw, we came across 3 sisters, their hair dripping with water from bathing in a spring, eating meat for the first time. I, a cultural activist and sculptor, exchanged songs from Wales. We do not have a ready design, we explained to the crowd. We have a proposal of how to create collectively. We listened to life stories. They recalled the night when they fled from the colonels. The forest listened to each reflection. What object can symbolize all this? I asked. The Brazil nut tree. Our fathers were Brazil nut workers. When they burned the castanheiras, they mutilated and murdered our lives. They turned us into the landless. We thanked them. We have planted a seed which will germinate our monument. The cruel beauty which the fire of profit sculpted did not cease calling to us and confirming the proposal. We paused on the dusty road, stunned by the view. The April 17 settlement. The village of 690 families was waiting for us, their dream wounded but still alive. Welcomed in Gouvea's and Maria's home, we met the life of the settlers. As a leader, Gouveia opened our pathways of listening and sensitization. At Maria's table, dialogues, tastes and laughter inspired the creation of the model, and with Milan, a Santa Catarina leader, we shared the model with the state leader. Georges Neri immediately grasped the poetic and political power of the burnt, mutilated and dead Brazil nut tree. In the hat of straw, we presented the vision of the proposal to the coordinators of the 19 nuclei of April 17. We joked about lifting 19 trunks, each 10 meters long, onto our backs. They too immediately grasped and embraced the idea. The next day, Gouveia brought us to the Iron Mouth, a loud hailer, the community radio, to inform and invite the community. Manuela explained our community collective methodology and called the 69 widows and the mutilated to participate in a storytelling circle the same night, and afterwards, all the community. We are the Brazil nut trees. They are us, the widows and the mutilated affirmed. They removed their shirts and exposed their scarred backs to show their evidence. The people began to arrive to hear the proposal, the wound still open. A mutilated survivor called the children to dramatize the Candelarium massacre, through their own memories of the curve. Many in the audience wept in silence. At the end, intense applause and whispers. They dialogued. Shall we name the trunks? Leave the Brazil nut trees anonymous, the mutilated Josimar proposed, to include all the massacres of the peoples and of the forests we are trying to protect. The proposal was approved unanimously. Do you have a camera? Asked a young mother the next morning. My daughter died. I have memories but no record. The girl and her husband composed the portrait. Died from flu. 3 months old, Gouveia lamented. The massacre continues. We couldn't speak. In the school playground, Luis, the leader, smiled. We've never created a monument, but we have experience with castañeras. Let's divide into teams, compañeros. We have just 1 week before April 17. Together we defined the steps to produce the monument, integrating the community's experience, noting and organizing everything on an old door. Do you want to participate in building the history of this region? We asked in the classrooms in the wooden school. Have you written your own history with Brazil nut trees? The school embraced the vision of the proposal, each child motivated to be part of the story. Manuela took a portrait of the planning team, each person aware of the significance of this first step. With bullets in his leg and scars across his body, Josimar, the former gold digger and leader of the mutilated, sought the chosen dead and mutilated castañeras. Among hundreds of charred castañera trees, we learned our criteria. Leave that trunk. It's bland, boring. What's a boring trunk? The team joked. It's not poetic, I risked. It doesn't catch the eye, Josimar translated. It won't open the imagination. They looked at the trunk and the penny dropped. I have a poetic Brazil nut tree on my land, remembered Luis. Throughout the next days, dozens of people found poetic Brazil nut trees at home. Before touching and removing the crosses, we confirmed the decision to transform them with the mutilated and the widows. I reminded them, the monument will question the world. It will lose its intimacy forever. Shy whispers. We approve, they said, but let's store and take care of the crosses. Who knows where Porto Alegre is? Manuela asked. Some pairs raised their hands. And Salvador, Amazonas, Rio, and Belém. That's how we confirmed the position of each trunk to define the outline of the map of Brazil and the distance between the castañera trees. We called Indio, brother of Osiel Alves Pereira, himself an MST leader, to remove the plaque with the 19 names of the dead. At 17 years old, his brother had been the youngest victim of the massacre. Each action, even the most manual and mechanical, became a sacred moment. We found burnt oil to protect the castañera trees. They will be more resistant, Gouveia explained. The youth immediately involved themselves playfully, even nearly covering themselves in oil. While 2 cranes raised the trunks, 3 teams of adults searched for stones to fill the 2 square meter holes. We wanted a monument which would last for centuries. The teachers and the young people of Class 8 painted 69 stones red to remember the 69 mutilated, sometimes hidden and forgotten behind the memory of the 19 dead. The stones would embrace the altar right in the heart of the monument. Let's put an MST flag on the top of each trunk, proposed a visiting leader. Let's leave them sensitized and question all who pass and visit, replied the mutilated. They will provoke a dialogue about the violence against nature, against us, against the indigenous peoples and their cultures. The leader listened. Before returning to the agro village late at night to sleep, we took this portrait of the night team, exhausted, emotional, but quietly fulfilled, even proud. Let's take that trunk sculpted by the fire, which we spotted on the path to the curve, said Josimar, to integrate into the center as our altar. We included the sacred plaque from the original monument. We returned to thank the March 26 camp for their intense collaboration and their inspiration in that first storytelling circle of culture and history. We shared these photographs in the April 17 church, narrating each step of the process with all the generations of the community. We saw such courage, resilience, and creativity, so much collective respect, hope, laughter, tears, and new stories. The tragedy had birthed a new symbol, collectively created, planted in the popular Amazonian, national, and world imaginary. Who would have imagined the transformation of so much pain into a path, a camp, a school, of formation and hope? Who would have imagined?